Sometimes people will wake up when it comes to the money and go, wait a second, we don't have nothing at home. We got no roads over here, no infrastructure. We got homeless people all around. We can't get health care for anybody in our country. Our schools are falling down.
Am I in Gaza?
So let's play the part about Joe Biden with the tin cup waving it around about the shkadol, the money. Take a look.
That's why tomorrow I'm going to send to Congress an urgent budget request to fund America's national security needs, to support our critical partners, including Israel and Ukraine. It's a smart investment that's going to pay dividends for American security for generations.
Lump them together.
Help us keep American troops out of harm's way. Help us build a world that is safer, more peaceful, more prosperous for our children and grandchildren. In Israel, we must make sure that they have what they need to protect their people today and always. The security package I'm sending to Congress and asking Congress to do is an unprecedented commitment to Israel's security that will sharpen Israel's qualitative military edge, which we've committed to, the qualitative military edge. We're going to make sure Iron Dome continues to guard the skies over Israel. We're going to make sure other hostile actors in the region know that Israel is stronger than ever and prevent this conflict from spreading.
Is it? He sounds like a dad. Listen, I want you to know I've had a secret family in 2 other places. And a lot more money is going to be going to my side families, and it's going to make the world better.
I'm putting it in urgent. I know that Tommy needs braces, but I'm putting in an urgent request for braces for everybody else in my other families first.
By the way, guys, so this is it. This is taking off Zero Hedge. Dan Collins put it there in the speech. $14 billion for Israel. So they upped it. $60 billion for Ukraine, because this is what it's really about. But if we lump it together, I mean, isn't this the reason why, one of the main reasons why Gates had the speaker removed? He wanted single-item subject bills so they couldn't lump things together. But it's genius in what they're doing, because they're also not only $10 billion for humanitarian aid, but $7 billion for Taiwan. So now you got the $14 billion for Israel, and you got the $7 billion for Taiwan. So now the Republicans are like, okay, maybe I should pay attention. And then you throw in $14 billion for border security. Now you can really get that populist right involved. By the way, no money for Detroit.
Wow,
no money for Baltimore.
I think we spent more money propping up literal terrorist organizations like Hamas and ISIS than we did on anywhere in America. We gave more money to terrorists for our strategies.
So just think about the couple $100 billion that we're throwing at Ukraine, and now we want to throw at this. Let's think of the things we could have had. We could have had free college for everybody. Mm-hmm. We could have ended homelessness.
Mm-hmm. A couple times over.
We could have well, maybe Joe Biden could have afforded a plane trip to East Palestine. Isn't that funny?
The Palestinians no one cares about?
But the question is, you know what I'm saying? With lumping it together this way, I can see a lot of populists, right? Well, first of all, they don't have a speaker. Jim Jordan got shut down. So we have that whole debacle going on. But this seems like a way of sugarcoating it and saying, hey, man, a populist right can tell his constituent, congressman, hey, we got $14 billion for that border. We got $14 billion for Israel. You know what I'm saying? We also got $7 billion for Taiwan over here. I mean, that's $35 billion to things we care about. Sure, we had to kick $60 billion over to Ukraine, but it was worth it.
Sorry.
Good, Patrick.
That list, Craig. Look at that. That's John McCain's shopping list. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4, the total there, most of that's going to get transferred to, Lockheed Martin, Boeing. There'll be, contracts, back orders, General Dynamics, General Electric, all the military defense contractors. And that's the aid, or that's the budget. It's corporate welfare for a certain sector. Mm-hmm. And it's for all the senators and congressmen from the states that have those jobs, like Arizona, California, North Carolina, DC, Beltway. That's music to their ears right there. That's re-election.
Yeah. You know what? The next one I had, I'm gonna go really quick to this other one. I'm gonna skip over and come back, because to make the sale, right, you got to talk about, you got to spread some lies. One of the biggest lies of this whole situation. Listen to this one, and the alarm bell went off in this part of the speech over here. He even mentioned North Korea, and the AP had an article saying North Korea was selling missiles to Hamas, and some of the missiles from Hamas that hit citizens in Israel came from North Korea. So they're bringing the whole picture for World War III.
Now that they have nukes, we're going to do that.
Check this out.
In Congress to make sure we can continue to send Ukraine the weapons they need to defend themselves and their country without interruption. So Ukraine can stop Putin's brutality in Ukraine. They are succeeding.
Here it is.
When Putin invaded Ukraine, he thought he would take Kyiv and all of Ukraine in a matter of days. Well, over a year later, Putin has failed, and he continues to fail.
Oh my
Kyiv
God.
still stands because of the bravery of the Ukrainian people.
Watch.
Ukraine has regained more than 50% of the territory Russian troops once occupied.
What?
That's the biggest freaking lie in the speech
Wait,
right there.
wait. 50% of the territory Russian troops. So is he talking about those incremental back and forths?
Yes.
Like out of that?
Well, I think he's trying to twist it and say that in the very beginning that Russia kind of advanced really far
On
and
Kiev?
threatened Kiev
Yeah.
or Kyiv or
Well, I say
Kiev, right?
Kiev.
And then they pulled back to their positions. But any position that they've held as far as taking territory throughout the Donbass, they've given back less than 1% in the counteroffensive.
Wait, but is it true that Putin is currently putting Kiev under siege, and they get no water, power, food until Zelensky surrenders?
No,
because
that's not.
that would violate norms.
No. And in fact, the Russian Federation has been very strategic when they bomb. They don't want to mess with
the siege on all the civilians of Ukraine.
No, they don't want to mess with the infrastructure because they look at Ukrainians as their brothers and sisters.
Can you
So
imagine
therefore,
if they
they've
did
tried
that?
to be very, So in other words, the goal was to gain the territories back of the Donbass to let them be independent. You know what I'm saying? And without destroying the rest of Kiev and the rest of Ukraine. In fact, they've been very strategic about that.
Oh, he didn't put
Unlike
settlers?
Israel.
He's
no.
not going to put settlers in
No
Kiev?
Russian settlers in Kiev and stuff. But that was the biggest lie. Let's listen to the rest of this because you have to listen to him mention there's another part which Patrick talked about, Arizona and the stockpiles. Listen to this. Hold on. Let's listen to that lie one more time. It's really good.
Ukraine has regained more than 50% of the territory Russian troops once occupied, backed by U.S.-led coalition of more than 50 countries around the world, all doing its part to support Kyiv. What would happen if we walked away?
What would happen?
We are the essential nation. Meanwhile, Putin has turned to Iran and North Korea to buy attack drones and ammunition to terrorize Ukrainian cities and people.
North Korea.
From the outset, I've said, I will not send American troops to fight in Ukraine. All Ukraine is asking for is help for the weapons, munitions, the capacity,
They can sell the weapons and get what they
push
need.
invading Russian forces off their land and the air defense systems to shoot down Russian missiles before they destroy Ukrainian cities. Let me be clear about something.
So all Ukraine is asking for is for us to keep hollowing out our own country and keep funding the military-industrial complex until our empire is completely crumbled. That's all they're asking for.
Yeah. And I say we do it.
Yeah, but Jimmy, you got to, all right, listen, Jimmy, but there's a reason for that. You got to remember, and he says it. Listen to this.
Okay.
Listen to this. You're going to love this.
We send Ukrainian equipment sitting in our stockpiles. And when we use the money allocated by Congress, we use it to replenish our own stores, our own stockpiles.
You see what I'm saying?
New equipment that defends America and is made in America.
Jobs,
Patriot
baby.
missiles for air defense batteries, made in Arizona. Artillery shells manufactured in 12 states across the country, in
12
Pennsylvania,
states.
Ohio, Texas,
Are we the problem?
and so much more. Just as in World War II, today patriotic American workers are building the arsenal of democracy and serving the cause of freedom.
Baby, this is American jobs. We're replacing our stockpiles of weapons, giving them the old stuff and getting new stuff. And those jobs right there, those weapons are made right here in the U.S. of A. You see what I'm saying, Jimmy? So it's our industry that's making that,
You
and
don't
we have
understand
American
business,
workers
Jimmy.
making money.
Of course, the most inefficient way to create jobs is a defense spending. The absolute most inefficient job creation is spending on defense, but no one gives a shit because nobody else has that big of a stranglehold on our government as the military. You know, Eisenhower was not joking around when he said,
Oh yeah.
beware the influence of the military-industrial complex. I mean, that was a guy who knew something about the military and the military-industrial complex and their control over government, and we just ignored at our own peril. And you know, they got you, like you said, Israel got rid of George Bush the first, and so Bill Clinton could take power. And what did Bill Clinton do? The biggest help he ever did to the military-industrial complex was he consolidated the media down from 50 giant media companies into 6. And so now anybody who wants to work in media first has to come from the CIA-infested Columbia University, and then they have to get their mind right, and they know if they say anything, they're going to end up like Chris Hedges. You're going to win a Pulitzer Prize, and they're going to kick you out of the New York Times for telling the truth about a war. Or Phil Donahue, or Jesse Ventura, or Ashley anybody, right? Go ahead.
The funniest thing is, I always hear when you hear from like ex-CIA, one that don't work for it anymore, I think a lot of the CIA is telling the government accurate information that is like just not cool. And the State Department is like, well, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get a promotion, you better do the thing
That's right.
the psychopaths want you to do.
I saw, not to get too off track, but I saw a video the other day. There's an ex-CIA guy who hosts a show now. I don't know if it's on YouTube or that's where I see the clips. And him and this other ex-CIA guy were asking themselves, are we the bad guys? Like they just now are starting to ask themselves the question.
Yeah, because how are you going to get promoted if you ask that?
Yeah, that's right. Now that they're out, they can ask
Any job.
They can allow themselves to have the intellectual freedom to ask those questions.
FTX, you got to be an FTX sucker.
That's right.
Following this as Sam Bankman-Fried and be like, is this bad what we're doing? I don't know. You know?
Patrick, I don't know. I mean, he made a point there. These weapons are made in the good old US of A industry, jobs.
That's why everyone loves us when they find the pieces in their burnt down homes and it says made in the USA.
You know, also, I mean, he sounded like a used car salesman trying to lie about a car that he was trying to sell off the lot. Hey, man, 50% of the territory that Russian troops once held, they're getting back. We got to continue. This is working, baby.
And don't mention the fact that Ukraine is 33% smaller now than it was before this.
Hey.
And it's lost 40% of its population. Its GDP is tanked to like negative numbers. Don't mention any of that. It's all going well. But I am awe-inspired by a phrase that Biden just introduced there. I never heard before. The arsenal of democracy.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, the clouds parted when he said that, and I could hear the harps. This would be a great sequel to Team America. Team America 2, The Arsenal of Democracy.
This would be a great book by Fareed Zakaria.
Yeah, right.
What are your thoughts about the North Korea mention too as well? I mean, that was slipping that in there too as well. The AP followed it up, and we've said this before. The mainstream media is one of the biggest reasons why they can pull this off, because they are in lockstep with the military-industrial complex and the war machine. Your thoughts on him mentioning North Korea too as well, and also slipping money in for Taiwan into this little funding package?
I think Kim Jong-un's street cred just shot up. That's what I think. I think that was great to get that plug.
Hey, come see us doing a live stand-up show in Bloomington, Illinois, Indianapolis, Levittown, New York, Red Bank, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Covina, California, Burbank, California, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, and Palmdale, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.